Don't guess. Okay, so sorry about that. We're back. Okay, so I think hopefully I don't know why it disconnected. But anyway, so what I was saying about Song of Solomon, I literally have never spent more hours really digging into something and at the end of it thought, none of this is exactly right. And so I am going to still do it, but I need more time because I'm still digging into do you know what I'm saying? It's like I have a rough sketch outline, but everything I was looking at, and I mean hours and hours and hours and hours and hours I spent, and everything I was looking at was just like, this is not exactly, there's more that I'm not getting. So I really truly need some time because I don't want to just wing it, especially something like that. So I have but we're going to do it. I just need more time. So don't freak out. And this is a surprise for Mariah. Ready? Dun 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 dun. So you get it's more not. She went,
come on over to Ecclesiastes and be sad together. What are we doing next? Lamentations? I'm sorry, I'm done. Miss Janice, thank you for your fidelity. And waiting.
Thank you. Look, Ecclesiastes is not a long book, but it really is a good dovetail from Job. It really is a good dovetail from Job. And we're going to talk about it, and it won't take us long to go through it. And in the meantime, listen, I'm getting judged so hardcore. In the meantime, I'm going to...
else get the books they want? I never do. It's fine.
Because nobody wants Chronicles.
That bad? That's your book.
I was also excited for Song of Solomon.
Then your favorite verse better come out of Chronicles.
Song of Solomon, hopefully,
is amazing.
Is going to be hopefully what follows after Ecclesiastes. So it's going to end up being like a little mini study in the wisdom books. We're probably not going to do Proverbs and Psalms. It's just too much to do. But this is worth a study. Okay, Ecclesiastes, and it's a good dovetail. Don't look at me like that, man. Judged. So anyway.
As if we're not depressed enough already.
No, this is good. Madison, I love you. You're always glad. Anything I do, she's glad for. She's like, yes, Lamentations, or whatever. It's like,
I've never been disappointed.
I'm just saying that there is more in Song of Solomon than I could grasp. And so I'm like, there's more to this, and I just need more time with it.
I also appreciate your fidelity.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Some good study is...
Hey, I didn't do Jeremiah or Ezekiel. We're doing a short book, okay? This is a short book.
True. You could have gone to Ezekiel because that's what we talked about.
We talked about it.
You were about to hit us with Revelations, and I was no joke about to walk.
No. You wouldn't have.
I would have.
You wouldn't have.
I would have gone and pouted somewhere.
Okay, that's all right. You'd come back. I love you. He's so sweet. Okay, so let me just get to it. I know people are watching this. So Ecclesiastes was written by King Solomon. Okay, so one of something that is important to know about this book is a little bit about King Solomon and the fact that this was written at the end of his life. So King Solomon, a lot of people know like some stuff that happened at the beginning when he first became king and he was young. He had a dream and the Lord asked him ask me anything that you want, you know. And so he asked for wisdom. He said, I need wisdom, Lord, to rule this great people of yours. And because he asked for wisdom, the Lord was impressed with that. And he blessed him he said, you didn't ask for riches, but because you didn't ask for it, I'm going to give you both. And so he gives him he gives him more wisdom than anybody as far as we know in biblical history anyway. And he also had more wealth and a bigger kingdom, a more lavish kingdom than the world has ever seen before. So he gets all this stuff, and he starts out, in other words, he starts out well. He starts out really good. The funny thing about wisdom, this is what I think. This is just my musing about it. The funny thing about this is that you end up, if you're really, really smart, and I've met plenty of people like this, you tend to rely on your own. You become really self-reliant because you feel like you've got it all together. It's like you know everything, and so you become very self-reliant. So one of the things with the kings, what they were supposed to do is written down in Deuteronomy, that every king was supposed to, at the beginning of his reign, write for himself a copy of the Torah. And the Torah is the first 5 books of Moses. So they were supposed to actually handwrite out a copy for themselves and keep it with them at all time, which was good instruction because they were kings of Israel and they should be familiar with, so if they actually wrote it all down, they'd at least have seen it once, right? And they were supposed to keep it with them at all time. So King Solomon, did this, as far as we know, that he actually wrote himself a copy of the Torah and kept it with him at all times. And in the Torah, there's instruction for the kings and how they're supposed to behave. And one of the things is that they were not supposed to marry foreign wives. The reason being is that the Lord said that pagan wives would cause them to go into idolatry and to forsake the Lord. And so this is exactly what happens with Solomon. But I think, and this again is just, I'm kind of imputing this into the text. This is just my thought. I think that probably because he was so wise, and he really truly was, he wrote Proverbs, the majority of the book of Proverbs, because he was so wise that he probably felt like it didn't really pertain to him. Like, oh, I understand that won't happen to me. Like, I understand, like, the reason that this is written, the reason why God has this instruction. So I get the idea. I get the basic meaning of it. So that's not going to happen to me. I'll make sure that I'm not, led astray by these foreign wives. And so he thought it was fine to do. That's just my personal musing about it. But for whatever his reasons were, he married a lot of foreign wives.
I mean, doesn't he say he denies himself nothing?
Yes,
yes. Understanding.
True, he does say that. He does say that he denies himself nothing because he, put himself forward to the understanding, which is we're just going to do the first chapter. It's going to be an intro, mostly about King Solomon, and then chapter 1, but that is in chapter 1. So he marries 700 wives and he has 300 concubines. Okay, now, just as a side note, I think it's in Proverbs, which he also wrote. When I was a young Christian and I was just reading the Bible for the first time, I ran into the proverb and nobody had this answer for me. So I try to say it whenever we come across this material because nobody had the answer for me. There's a proverb that says I'm paraphrasing. It says one out of 1,000 men or something like that could I find that's righteous, but out of 1,000 women I cannot find one. And so he could not find one righteous. Well, and so that sounds very offensive on the face. It's like, whoa, what? Mm-hmm. And then you find out Solomon is the one who wrote it.
I was just gonna say,
it was his 1,000 wives.
Judgment, I guess not.
It was his 1,000 wives that he was referring to. But I had that question and I got no answers.
It's crazy because it says in Ecclesiastes the teacher collected Proverbs. I mean, he wrote the Proverbs.
Right. Right.
But no one.
Anyway, so I've always tried to have answers for the next generation because I didn't get them. So yes.
We talked about that too, about how it's misinterpreted in 1 Timothy because it says, I do not permit a woman to teach.
Yes.
But that's Paul saying that. I don't permit. It didn't say God doesn't permit. It says I don't permit.
Since you brought it up, Paul actually said it was a singular form. I don't permit that one woman to exercise authority. And that word right there, it's a Greek word that's only used one time in the entirety of Scripture, is this word, the exercise authority over a man. And that word, scholars have had to go to outside text to try to find the meaning of that word, because it's not used anywhere else in Scripture. And there's other places where authority is used, but it is not in that place. But from the outside it denotes something like murder or destruction. It's to destroy, to use authority to destroy another person. And that culture was right by the temple of Artemis. And so basically the backstory to that is that there's one woman who they were the conduit of the gods as temple prostitutes in Artemis. So there was one woman that came in, like, saying, no, I know the right, I've got the authority, because that's basically what the women in that culture, they believed that they had the ear to God and nobody else. And that their theology had the original Adam and Eve story backwards. And so that's why in the same passage he's talking about
the childbearing and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very clumsy in English, very clumsy, but it's been misinterpreted and abused for a long time. Too long. It's time to be done with it. Yes.
Do you think that it was purposeful in any manner how it was interpreted, like how it was written?
Well,
People
okay.
take things like that and they're like, oh, see, like a million people just wrote the Bible and like we don't actually know what it said.
So that was the first one was King James that wrote the King James Bible was the first English translation of that. And it was a very patriarchal society. Most cultures, there's some that are not, but most cultures have been a patriarchal society. And so it's possible that it was written down that way on purpose. And it's also possible that they just truly didn't know how to interpret a very difficult passage in a very difficult language.
Did they even know the history either?
Oh, did they even know the history? It's a good question, because King James would be what, 1500s? When was King James? 1500s, something like that. Yeah. Did they even know that cultural background? Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe not.
Really explain.
No, it doesn't explain.
You just have to assume.
Right.
So like, don't even get started on the history of King James.
That's the problem that I feel like a lot of people have with
Yes.
the interpretation.
Yes.
Is like how it was interpreted.
Right.
And then they'll make cases for other things all throughout the Bible, justifying sin.
You're right. You're right.
I don't know how to be like, well.
But now that we're in the age of information and we can find out those things, we can find out the true meanings of the original language, and we can find out what the history and the context and the culture was. So when you know better, do better. And it's just been a very hard shift for most people to make when it challenges their paradigm, and they just cannot conceive of a woman teaching or a woman leading or any of that. And it's really difficult for most people because it's just never been the way they've done it traditionally. And so that's now we just should do better. And by the way, there is a whole documentary coming out. I don't know when it's coming out, but Skywatch TV, and I'm looking forward to it. They're supposed to do a whole thing about women in leadership, and it's Tom Horn's son that's kind of spearheading that. And he said they're so sure that they're right, that they are on the right side of the scripture on this, that he's like willing to stake their whole credibility on it. And it should be coming out like any day. He's like, we're so sure that we're right about this that he's willing to stake all of their credibility on it. He says this is right. And all you have to do, once you go back to the original text, the original language, and you find out the true original meaning of it, it says what it says, And so you can accept it or not, but that's what it says. So there's been a lot of things that we haven't known traditionally because I mean, now we've got the whole internet. You know what I'm saying? We have the whole internet, so we can look up all these things up and refer to it, but we haven't always had that. So, so back to King Solomon. He did have the 700 wives and 300 concubines. So let me set this up. The first thing he does when he becomes king, the first thing he does is he builds a house because David, who was his father, got all the materials together and had the blueprint, had everything ready for him to build the temple, because the Lord told David he wasn't to build the temple, his son was. And so he knew, so David left the instructions, the materials, left everything for David to build. But instead of, it seems like if you were installed as king and your father had done all of this preparation and this was like the main thing, don't you think that that's the first thing that you'd have set your hand to do? Well, he didn't even start it until I think it was like 4 years later before he even started on the temple. That's not the first thing he did. The first thing he did was build himself a house and build a house for the Pharaoh's daughter, because all of these wives that he married were political. Most of them weren't really romances. It was like political alliances. So the Pharaoh's daughter was a huge political alliance. And that, I mean, it afforded him peace on all sides of the kingdom. And he got it with his human wisdom. He got wealth, riches, peace, and all of those things from his human wisdom that he actually achieved. So because he had the Pharaoh's daughter in his court, he built this lavish house for her. And so that's the first thing he does, is his own house and the house for the daughter of Pharaoh, before he even starts on the temple, which David had left him everything he needed for that. So eventually he does. So let me just read my notes. This book was written by Solomon towards the end of his life. So this book is written, this is towards the end of his life. Most people are confused by this book because they're like, wait a minute. There's a lot of things in here that are actually not true statements. And that's why it's difficult for people to understand why it's in the Bible. You know, it's like, I don't get this. But you have to follow it all the way through to the end. So this is his work, his process. This book is Solomon's process. At the end of his life, when he realizes that everything that he's done and accomplished has been meaningless. Okay, so that's why this is written. Okay, he'd been granted by God more wisdom and wealth than any other man. His life was one of excesses not seen since. The Queen of Sheba came to hear and see these things for herself. And she said, because she didn't believe it, she's like, I didn't even believe what the rumors. And she said, now I see that not even the half was told to me. So she was like, it was so lavish and so over the top, I didn't even believe it. And she's like, oh my gosh, not even the half was told to me. And so it was apparently really, really astonishing, like the amount of riches and wisdom that he had. He basically was like a little Encyclopedia Britannica. The wisdom that he was granted was not just what we think of as wisdom, as knowledge. You know, he knew a lot of things about nature and etc. Okay, so it's recorded in Scripture that he had 700 wives, 300 concubines, and received 666 talents of gold every year. That was his income, 666 talents of gold. Now, 666, as you know, is the number of man. The significance of its appearance here denotes how Solomon achieved what men would measure as the pinnacle of success in every way. So literally, the Lord allowed this to play out for one reason. He allowed it to play out because there is nothing. Do what?
Looking at how much a talent of gold was, 75 pounds.
Woo, 1 talent was 75 pounds of gold. That's crazy. Yeah, in today's money, there's no telling.
It's 50 pounds shy of
Wow. It's a lot of gold.
That's insane.
That's a lot of gold.
Right now, gold's at like an all-time high of like 6,000 an ounce.
Yes, it is.
So like
How many ounces are now?
16.
He's doing the math. Do the math. So what it means is that the Lord let this play out so that we have a record. See, this is how it kind of dovetails nicely from Job. This is like the
$4.8 billion a year.
$4.8 billion a year is what it would be today's equivalent. So the opposite, we just got through with Job and we saw like the lowest point a man could be at. Now we're going to see the pinnacle, the highest point that a man could ever achieve. So we will know,
I see.
it's all been done. Everything that we strive for, all that we try to work for, everything that we've set our minds to in our lives, it's been done. It's been looked at, and this is the end of it. This is how it played out. This is how this plays out. Okay. However, his marriage to foreign wives that was not permitted by the Lord caused him to be drawn away into pagan idolatry. It didn't happen at first, but eventually in his lifetime, it eventually happened. It was that slow drip. He did marry Egypt first, and the Lord said, "Don't even look back at Egypt." And what did he do? He married. Yes. So it caused him to be drawn away into pagan idolatry, even building temples for his wives to Molech and the Baals, where they sacrificed their children.
That's crazy.
Wow, that
his own children got sacrificed?
His own children got sacrificed because it would have been his own.
He's crazy.
Because of his disobedience, God details his judgment in 1 Kings. Okay, so you think he starts out so well. And it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't happen at first. But eventually over years, now think about somebody who has all wisdom and all knowledge, everything that we could possibly in our human achieve. And by philosophy and knowledge, because I have heard this kind of done in a way, I mean, obviously not to that degree, but I've heard this done by people who actually are very smart, and they're almost too smart for their own good, and they talk themselves into believing things that are not true. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, anyway, we'll get into this. But here's the picture of, this particularly to Molech. So Molech was this cow god or bull god that was generally a bronze statue, and there would be flames underneath it, and the arms were outstretched, and the arms would be hot, and they would literally put their infants on, and they would play drums so loud so that you couldn't hear the screams. That's how they did it, and I hate to even say that. I'll try not to say it again. But anyway, so that's the picture. And so to realize that he starts out so well and he literally goes to because somehow or another he had reckoned in his mind that this was okay. And
I'm surprised the Lord let him build the temple, but I'm sure.
Right. He did build the temple just a few years into his reign, but it was before this happened. Yeah. All right, so in 1 Kings, this was the Lord's, he pronounced the judgment, okay? 1 Kings 11. But King Solomon loved many foreign women, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, from the nations of whom the Lord had said to the children of Israel, "You shall not intermarry with them, or they with you. Surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods." Solomon clung to these in love, and he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it was so when Solomon was old, that his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord and did not fully follow the Lord, as did his father David. Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, on the hill that is east of Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the people of Ammon. And did likewise for all his foreign wives who burned incense and sacrificed to their gods. So the Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned from the Lord God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but that he should keep what the Lord had commanded. Therefore the Lord said to Solomon, because you've done this, and have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servants. Nevertheless, I will not do it in your days for the sake of your father David. I will tear it out of the hand of your son. It's so crazy the Lord says this because Solomon deserved to have it torn away from him, but because of his promise to David, he let it ride until Solomon was dead. And right after Solomon was dead, the kingdom divides. There's like a civil war and the kingdom's divided. However, I will not tear away the whole kingdom. I will give one tribe to your son for the sake of my servant David, and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen. So here's a comment. This book is talking about Ecclesiastes, will examine these vanities seen under the sun. The word vanity means meaningless, okay? Meaningless. These chasing after the wind, meaningless. Seen under the sun. Now, I put that in quotes because he quotes it a lot, but I want to make you aware and really think about the fact that he is limiting his wise observances to things under the sun and leaving out the the heavenly kingdom and the intervention of God in earthly lives. Does that make sense? So he was able to basically, nowadays there's all these like satanic factions that are all vying for the top dog power of this world. So there are all these all these governments and stuff and bankers and all of the people that are trying to get to the top dog according to this worldly system. And so they're all playing the same game to try to get to the top. Well, Solomon was able to actually get to the top by playing that game. So he limits his scope to things under the sun. So keep that in mind as we go through. Injustice. So here, these are the things he'll examine. 1, injustice to the poor. Think about these. These are things we still struggle with today. Crooked politics. Incompetent leadership. Guilty people who are allowed to commit more crime. Materialism. And a desire for the good old days. So he is going to address these questions as we go through the book of Ecclesiastes. But he's going to address it according to only the things he was observing under the sun. All right, chapter 1. Has everybody got me so far? Chapter 1, the words of the preacher. Now he's calling himself the preacher. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say Ecclesiastes actually means like the gathering or the congregation or addressing the congregation, the assembly. All right, so the words of the preacher, the son of David, king of Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanity. All is vanity. That means in Hebrew meaningless, and utterly meaningless. So that's basically how he's saying it.
Don't you love how they call a mirror a vanity?
Oh, that's so crazy. Call it, yeah, that's true. A mirror. What profit has a man from his labor, which he toils under the sun? Have you ever thought that to yourself? What profit? You get up and you do the same thing every day, and you wear yourself out, then you go to bed, then you get up and you do it all again. And you think to yourself, what am I doing this for? I'm in a hamster wheel. What the heck? It's not a new question. One generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. The sun also rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it arose.
The sun rises and goes down. The sun moves.
And what?
Nothing.
Okay. So this is the comment. Things go on independent of man, but he misses that things do not go on independent of God. So he's already starting out with, this is all meaningless. Just the day after day after day, the sun goes up, the sun goes down. Generations pass away and nothing ever changes. Okay? So, but he misses that things do not go on independent of God. This is God. God held the sun in place for Joshua. He moved the sun back as a sign to Hezekiah. He opened the Red Sea and the Jordan River for Israel. He turned off the rain for Elijah for 3.5 years and then turned it on again. He calmed the wind and the rain for the disciples on the Sea of Galilee. So he does intervene for man, or even for himself, for his own purposes and for his servants. Solomon has a worldview called a closed system. This is what, when I hear people go on about philosophy, it all sounds like circular reasoning to me. I get so frustrated with philosophical conversations because it is a closed system. What? Okay, I'll leave you be. But it's circular reasoning. It's like and I won't go into who, but I'm thinking of a group of friends that I see sometimes on social media, and they are very smart and they're very educated. They all have at least master's and some doctor's degree, and sometimes I see them like talk amongst themselves. And they really are very impressed with each other and what each other says, but they don't even realize that they're in this. They have blinders and they're in this echo chamber. Thank you for that name. Yeah, they're in an echo chamber and they're just kind of bouncing off the same thing off of each other. And it's not that they're bad things; they're just incomplete. You know what I'm saying? They're just incomplete things. Oh my goodness.
Sorry. It's over.
Okay. Whew. Those machines are like something. Like,
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Jolene's like, I have to do my laundry.
She's good for doing her laundry. But anyway. Okay, Solomon has a worldview called a closed system. He's not taking into account that God does intervene. The Creator transcends his creation and has at time entered his creation, especially in the person of Jesus Christ. So he not only transcends his own creation, this thing that Solomon is musing about. He's like, this is the same thing all the time, over and over and over. But God himself actually enters as a man. Now that'll shake things up. And the cross, the moment of the cross is completely changed everything. It changed everything. Okay. Verse 6. The wind goes towards the south and turns around to the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. So this is talking about the circuit of wind. And of course, this is Solomon who had been given all this wisdom. So it's only been relatively recently with the science of meteorology that we have discovered that wind has circuits. But he knew it back then. Verse 7, all the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. So just an interesting observation. The sea's never full. The place from which the rivers come, there they return again. And we just got through with Job, but it's worth mentioning again. Job 36:27. This is talking about the water cycle. Once again, the water cycle. For in Job 36:27, it says, "For he draws up drops of water, which distill as rain from the mist, which the clouds drop down and pour abundantly on man." So Matthew Maury is known as the founder of oceanography, got his idea that there were such things as currents in the sea by his study of scripture. I know we mentioned that, but I thought I'd mention it again. There's always new people. That the father of oceanography, saw that there were rivers in the sea in scripture. And so he knew they had to be there, and he discovered them. He joined the Navy and found it out. All right, verse 8. "All things are full of labor, and man cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing." These are they really are deep thoughts. It's like well, anyway, I won't go there. But you can see people sitting around and thinking about these things. "That which has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which it may be said, 'See, this is new'? It's already been in ancient times before us." So I included just a few things from ancient archaeology that, people really, when they discover this, it so flies in the face of the theory of evolution, which everybody seems to, we're so indoctrinated in school by the thought process. I won't even go into the whole evolution thing, except for the fact that the thought process is that man is getting better with generations, that man is evolving, that we came from a monkey and we've only gotten smarter since then. And that is actually, the opposite is actually observably true, is that DNA is degrading.
Yes.
And men and women are probably less smart than ever before. Just because we have access to all this information doesn't mean that we're using our brain very well. And there's all kinds of evidence of an advanced civilization that preceded what we know now. But here is some evidence of, there's one of these, I don't know if you've seen this before, on the halls of Egypt somewhere, what looks like a light bulb. Have you guys ever seen this picture? Look, we have an Egyptologist over here. I know she has seen it. So there's that. And then, do what? What do you say?
That's what I was thinking.
What?
He said it looked like an eggplant emoji.
All right. So I was trying to put together, without taking up too many pages and pictures, about CERN. CERN, most people don't know what CERN is. CERN is an acronym, and it's French, and I don't know what the French word is, so forgive me. But what it is a large hadron collider. It's a particle collider that is on the border of France and, why do I always forget if it's Sweden or Switzerland? Sweden? France. Near France. Okay, so no, it's one of the other ones. He's gonna find it. But it's like 17 miles wide, and so it actually goes across the border. Okay, Switzerland, and anyway, it's a large hadron collider, supposedly built to discover what they call the God particle, meaning that they know that how the universe is held together, because it's not just gravity. We're taught in school that it's gravity. Well, that's not actually just the case. There's more things in play. It's not just mass, and so they're trying to find out what really holds the universe in place. So they kind of called it the God particle. And then a scientist named Higgs boson supposedly discovered the God particle. So they named it after him. So it's called the boson, or the Higgs boson particle. So, but now CERN, so they did that. They discovered that. So now they just go on, and they're still going on with discovering other things. What they're doing exactly is really hard to know because some of it is kind of like, black ops sort of science. But this is what we know. What a lot of the talk and conjecture has been around this subject is that they're basically opening portals of some kind. It's like they're smashing particles and stuff. Yes.
Freaking that Disney movie. It's not called Baymax. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Big Hero 6.
Big Hero 6.
Yeah,
It's called what?
Big Hero 6. Literally, it describes this. First time I saw it, I was like, "You're joking me."
Big Hero 6
Yeah,
is the name of it?
literally describes this.
Interesting. Okay. Well, see, the
Yeah, and the guy, isn't the leader,
The name is something.
Crowley?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the name is
Yeah,
Crowley.
like the leader, like the evil guy. Like his
Oh,
name
the
is
evil
Crowley.
guy is That's horrible, man.
It's
Movie.
an old
Don't ruin this
movie.
movie for me.
Sorry.
No, you
My
don't even
Jordan.
want to.
I
Yeah.
already told him and he told me to shut up.
So when Dylan puts the pictures in on the YouTube, you'll see this better. But if you take, okay, so the particle collider is a big tube and it's a circle, right? And so they speed this thing up, and I don't know what all they do. I'm not a scientist. I just, I have like just a vague idea. So they speed these and they collide, they smash these particles together and it creates energy. Energy is released when they smash these together. It's kind of like the atomic bomb. That's kind of the same type of science, it's like smashing atoms together. But if you take a cross section of, if you have a tube and you cut it in half and you look through it like a straw, you have a circle, right? So it's a circle and it's a tube. So that cross section is seen in all kinds of ancient archaeology, not the least of which is these very common statues of the goddess Shiva, which is right standing outside. It was gifted by France to the scientist or whoever owns the particle collider. I guess it's probably a government thing. And so the statue of Shiva is erected right outside of the CERN. Because so you see the goddess that is inside the circle and it's got the little pegs all around it, and she's doing the dance. And Shiva is the dance of destruction and rebirth, which is a very occultic concept anyway, the destruction and rebirth. But that is right outside of that. And then, well, I could talk for an hour and I won't because we'll be way off topic. But anyway, so here is a picture of Shiva. And so if you've seen like a cross section of the Hadron Collider, it literally looks exactly like that if you just take out the entity in the middle, obviously. But you see these appear in ancient archaeology. I didn't include a picture just because, well, I kind of did this quickly, but with the advent of AI, I can't vet everything quick enough to put it in. I don't want to put something in there and then it's not a real thing. But anyway, so there's that. The fact that there's nothing new under the sun. This is something that archaeologists have dug up and they're like, well, what's this? And it's a symbol, obviously. And then there's other places like that one in Peru that's actually a trapezoid that's in a rock that's supposed to be a doorway, a portal. And
I've seen that one.
have you seen that one? There's a reason why you see trapezoids in a lot of occultic symbolism. So there's that. The fact that it's not new to us. It's like way advanced tech science that we're just now understanding again. But apparently there was a civilization at one point that knew it very well. So now, then, of course, there's this new discovery under the pyramids of Giza. And this is so brand new that there's not much known about it, except for the fact that there's a large complex, some kind of large complex that they've discovered underneath the pyramids of Giza. I don't have a clue what's in there. I don't think they do either. But I'm pretty sure, Taylor, am I right in saying that there's some sort of mythology about um, things that are supposed to be found and excavated under the pyramids at some point that are like, okay, what do you know anything more about that?
Yeah, there's supposed to be some stuff.
That's what it is.
Like,
There's supposed to be some stuff under there, like occult knowledge, some sort of occult knowledge
it's
that.
like hidden secrets are buried there. It kind of like a treasure trove situation. That under the certain predicaments and things, if all these things are met, then it kind of reveals itself and opens. It's like a. Sorry, cat caught me off guard.
It's all good.
But yeah, so it almost kind of like also mocks like. God, I hate that I'm about to say Revelations. In like Revelations with the seal openings, all these circumstances must be met. There's the occult description
Right.
of it, which ties in with the pyramids, but there are also other sites, and each one's like its own seal.
Oh, so there's other sites, and each one is its own seal. That's interesting. First time. See, that's why we have her here. No, I was kidding. It's like it's part of the reason why we have her here. But all that to say, so what I can tell you what's true is that not just these pyramid structures, but there's also megalithic structures found all over the world that we literally cannot replicate today. Nobody can replicate the Great Pyramid. The pyramid. Anyway, nobody can replicate the Great Pyramid. It's, we literally have lost the knowledge of how to do that. So anyway, nothing new under the sun. Verse 11. There is no remembrance of former things. True. Nor will there be any remembrance of things that are to come. By those who will come after. We all think that we're the best. We got the best knowledge. We're the smartest that's ever been. And it is so not true. Verse 12. I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem, and I set my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that is done under heaven. This burdensome task God has given to the sons of man, by which this may be exercised. I've seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed all is vanity and grasping for the wind. Here's the comment. The wisest man on earth devoted himself to get to the root of the questions presented, but using his earthly wisdom instead of relying on God's. Verse 15, what is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be numbered. And here's a comment. For the lost, the past is a heavy anchor that drags him down. But for the saved, the past, even with its mistakes, is a rudder that drives him forward, and faith makes all the difference. So things that happen in our life, the catalyst that makes the difference is where we are in relationship to God. Are we saved? Do we have a relationship with Christ? That makes all the difference as to what the circumstances in our life, the events in our life, they're either going to be an anchor that weigh us down, or it will be instruction, and it will be for our good, and it will be for our learning, and it will be for the building of character and perseverance and all those things that will be like a rudder that propels us forward. So the difference truly is faith. Verse 16, I communed with my heart, saying, look, I have attained greatness and have gained more wisdom than all who were before me in Jerusalem. My heart has understood great wisdom and knowledge, and I set my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly. So he didn't leave anything out. He set his heart to know wisdom, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to go down this other road and search out everything. So he even let himself know madness and folly just to see what it was, just to see everything there was to know. I perceived that this also is grasping for the wind. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. Boy, that'll preach. He's the preacher. Okay, so here is the comments. God has ordained that his people live by promises and not by explanations, by faith and not by sight. John 20:29 says, "Blessed are they that have not seen and yet have believed." If anyone was ever equipped to solve the difficult problems of life, it would have been Solomon, the wisest of men. Yet the advantages he had did not aid him in finding answers. He only realized how much he would never know. All right. That's a long setup. Is that good? All right. So was that good? You guys are not too disappointed by the thing? Only slightly. It's coming. You just got to give me a little bit longer. You just got to be a little. Okay. I figured that Mariah might be happy with this one since it's her favorite book, weirdo. What is Jordan's Job? What was Jordan's? His was something weird too.
I think it was for a minute, but I also think that he changed it to Matthew. Oh. So I'm unsure at this point.
It used to be something weird. Okay. Well, Mariah's Ecclesiastes is really good. It's really deep, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in it. So,
how many times have you read it, Catherine? Once?
A couple times. It's only 6 chapters.
It's
but
12.
I'm thinking with the intro. Does just the intro give you a lot more insight at this point? Probably.
That's hard.
No, I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Because she's like,
okay.
It's only 6 chapters.
Yes.
It makes you realize, like,
you're not alone.
Why do I want to?
You're not alone.
The word. I want to be instructed in how to be and remember what I'm living for, and it's not that. That's why I don't like to read it. I will read it though.
What?
Galatians. Give me Colossians. Give me like
instruction, straightforward instruction.
Literally what you're saying.
It's just in a different way. It's just She likes the straightforward.
The figurative language of it.
Yeah.
Which is why she also doesn't get Song of Solomon. I think it's the figurative language.
I think figurative language doesn't
get
it either. As far as
look, when we do Song of Solomon, it won't be as painful as you think because there's more depth and meaning to it that has nothing to do with the obvious
thank
text.
God, because I was like, there's more to this than what is here very clearly.
Right.
I like Ecclesiastes brings relief because it's like
right.
You don't have to know everything because guess what? It doesn't get you anywhere. The only thing that gets you anywhere is following God. Everything else sucks.
True. The last chapter really.
That sums up Ecclesiastes. We don't have to do it
you're
now.
Supposed to
I was
read
like,
it. You're not supposed to read it. Oh, this verse is for me today. It's on my day-by-day calendar.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the process. It takes you through the process of his going through all. He's fleshing it all out.
I sent some to Aunt Gina when she was having a hard day.
I love it. You had it on tap.
Me. What did I say there? I don't know. I have to go through our text. But I was ready.
You were ready. You had it on tap. I love it. All right. Next week we shall continue. And we'll get through this, and I promise Song of Solomon will be coming up, but not yet. Love, love, love.